What is going on, everybody? So I'm back today to talk about another new release film that seemingly didn't get very good reviews. And I'm not going to go in and say that this was a masterpiece or anything, but I actually did enjoy myself when I watched this movie. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is the 2022 The Invitation, not the 2015 Karen Kusama Invitation, which is a much better film, but I am looking forward to talking about it today. The Invitation is directed by Jessica M. Thompson. After the death of her mother, Evie is approached by an unknown cousin who invites her to a lavish wedding in the English countryside. Soon she realizes a gothic conspiracy is afoot and must fight for survival as she uncovers twisted secrets in her family's history. So yeah, this movie, it's a relatively simple premise. I really liked the lead actress who played Evie. I thought she did a really great job. But you have this young woman who lives by herself. She really doesn't know much about her family. And so she goes online and takes one of those ancestry tests, and she finds out that she's related to this incredibly wealthy white family in Europe. One of her cousins comes and visits and says, hey, there's going to be this wedding, come visit us. And she ends up flying out there, meeting the family. They're all kind of stuffy, rich people. There's this guy who lives out there who is close to the family, but isn't related to her, who starts to take an interest in her. And the movie is like their sort of romance back and forth while something mysterious is happening at the house, where you have these maids who are being assigned. They all have numbers on them, and they start getting killed off one by what is assumingly a vampire by looking at the claws on them and the way that they move. You're kind of assuming that it's vampires early on in the film. And it turns out that it is vampires, and the twist really isn't anything spectacular, but I really did like the atmosphere and the overall environment. The cinematography is actually really nice. The director did a really nice job building tension. I felt like there were some genuinely spooky moments throughout this film. I would say the big qualm that I have with this movie, which I'm assuming is the qualm that most of the people who watched this movie had, is the dialogue is pretty hokey. And it's unfortunate because I feel like that there are some moments that it could have been tidied up a lot more. And it comes across as cheesy a lot of times, which is fine. There's some great movies that I love that have really cheesy dialogue. There's just moments that it took me out of it. And obviously you have a larger commentary at hand here where you have a young African-American woman who's going to visit this part of her family that's all white. Everyone there's white. You can tell the way that they look at her and everything, they perceive her much differently. And so that was a really interesting social commentary to add on to the overall message of this film. But for the most part, it's just a really interesting suspense movie. And there's all of these characters that are introduced that kind of bring into question, okay, which one of them is going to be the one who's killing all these people off? Because you have an assumption that it has to be one of the members of this family. And so when it's revealed, I wasn't really surprised by it. I kind of had a guess. But at the same time, it's cool the way that they build that tension. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of like gothic horror. I always have been. I love the Guillermo del Toro film Crimson Peak. I think there's so many great gothic horror movies, and so this was a fun little addition into that realm. I don't think it's like the most unique movie ever made or anything, but it was a fun runtime, and I'm not sure why people hated it so much. People must just not watch enough really bad movies. I've seen some crap on Shudder this year that has just been absolutely terrible, and this was nowhere near as bad as some of the bad movies that I've seen this year. I ended up just having a really fun time with it. It ended up turning into a little bit like Ready or Not-ish, which I enjoyed. It wasn't as good as Ready or Not, but it was still a lot of fun. And I think if you're a horror fan that's into like that gothic century type of stuff, I think you'll really get into this. It has really moody atmosphere, and that's something that I can always appreciate in a movie. And I don't really have much more to say about this one because it's really not that deep or complex. It's mostly just like a really well shot, fun horror film that I can get behind recommending. So if you're looking for something that's just fun and entertaining, that has that gothic horror vibe that includes vampires, check out the 2022 Invitation. You'll have a nice time with it. So have you seen The Invitation? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was a lot of fun. I didn't think it was a masterpiece or anything, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that I watched it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a great rest of your day.